This is Sean with Voices Live On. I'm here with Patricia Tiki. Patricia, how you doing today?
I'm doing fine.
And you are 86 years young.
Will be in January.
And your birthday is January 12th.
Right.
So what city were you born in?
I was born when they didn't go to the hospital or anything, so I was born at home.
Okay.
I mean, I'm not sure it was where I live, but anyway, I wasn't in a hospital or anything when I was born.
What town and state? Where was
it would have been Carroll County, near Flora.
Okay.
Yes.
And did you stay there for many years? Is that where you grew up?
That's where I grew up. I went to a couple different schools, but I started out in Flora and then went to Burlington, then went to Carrollton, and they did away with Carrollton, so that's when I went back to Burlington.
And your parents were Joe and Thelma.
Right.
So what was your dad's industry? What was his career?
Farmer.
What type of farming?
What?
What type of farming?
Just planted corn and
corn.
Corn, beans. Yeah.
Any livestock?
Oh yes, I had livestock. I had a cow named Spot, and Spot. I have pictures of it.
My mom had a cow named Betsy.
Oh really?
Yeah, but you got Spot.
Well, I could milk Spot on either side. I rode a Spot like she was a pony.
Okay.
And she was the best cow ever.
So did you have any horses or anything?
No, but I had Spot.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So your dad how big was the farm? How large was the?
I think, well, I remember that was 120 acres.
That's a lot. That's a lot. So describe the barn house itself. Just describe how that was structured.
Well, there's still barns that look the same, look like it. And it was a nice home.
Was it 2-story or was it a ranch?
No, it was just, no. I mean, I can't even think of it as a ranch, but maybe that's what it was probably the best way to describe it.
Okay. So your grandparents, you got Bert and May Brown, and
that was my mom's.
On your mom's side, right? And then Olivia and Lily, or Orville.
Orville
and Lily.
Yeah.
So let's talk about Bert and May. What's a little bit of their background? What's some memories you have? Where did they live?
They lived in Burris.
Okay.
And Bert was a big man. He was tall, but he was big with it.
Okay.
And he chewed tobacco. And that's kind of the way I remember him on the porch, chewing tobacco and then spitting. And my grandma, her name was May, but it was Grandma Brown. She was so sweet, so sweet. I dearly loved her, and I think she passed away when I was 15.
Okay.
Yes. And
were they both farmers?
Well, no, I'm not sure. I'm not sure what Bert did because I don't remember him as much as actually doing anything.
Okay.
But I always said he bellered. And he was a little bit different than my other granddad.
So let's talk about, what were the others? Bert?
Orville. That was Bert.
Okay, that was Bert.
Yes.
So Orville.
Now Orville.
Lily.
I dearly loved Orville. I would sit on his lap and drink coffee soup. That was coffee with cream and bread in it.
Okay.
And I got lots of fond memories of Orville.
What was some of the stuff that you did when you were little with him and your grandmother?
Rode on the corn planter. If he'd be planting corn, I would go ride on that all day, in the afternoon or whatever. And he was just, I loved him. I got great memories of Orville.
What were some of his hobbies? Like what kind of stuff?
Working.
Okay. What type of work?
Yeah, I don't know that he had what you'd call a hobby. If he did have, I don't remember what it was. But He was he taught Sunday school in the church.
Okay.
So he was religious, and he lived it. He was just a good person, well thought of, and especially by me.
Do you remember any of their friends that would come by the house, or any kind of interaction with
Their friends.
some of the people
Well,
that?
they lived in Burris, and I at the time lived in Carroll County near Flora.
Okay.
So yeah, I don't really remember other than relatives. There was other relatives there in Burris
Okay.
that would usually come over, you know, especially we would make a point to see them. And I don't know, it was just my grandma was May, and she was so sweet. She was so sweet.
So what's some of the favorite things you remember her making in the kitchen?
Oh my, well, I remember her having this kitchen table. It was full of, I don't know, I think it had, I can't remember what all the items were that were on the table, but she would cover it up with like a tablecloth. And oh, what was her? She was a good cook, but for me to remember a certain thing that she made, I'm having trouble now.
What about your birthday or Christmas? You don't remember requesting anything? Kids usually would be like pumpkin pie or a blueberry pie or something.
Oh, no, that escapes me right now.
Okay.
I have CRS. You know, I already told you that.
Yes, yes, you did. So, if you were going to describe, you know, your mom in relation to her parents, what's kind of the characteristics or dynamic that you describe that?
Well, my mom loved cooking, and my mom died when she was 55.
Okay.
So that's pretty young.
Okay.
And but she was a good mother, and you know, I have fond memories of her. But I stopped because 55, even that time, was pretty young.
So how old were you when that happened?
Oh my gosh, how old was I when she was 55? I think I was, what, 15? Did I say 15?
Yeah, if you're in 38, so you would have been 17,
Yeah, probably.
16, 17.
Probably.
Was that pretty hard?
Yeah.
I'm assuming that was
Oh,
very
yeah.
difficult.
Yes.
How did
Yes.
she pass? What was the...
And that I can't not tell you. I don't remember it. That's where my CRS is kicked in.
Okay.
Kicked in.
Yes.
Yes. So it is what it is, which I say a lot anymore.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
All right. So the house that you got to grow up in, how long were you there?
Let's see.
The first one.
The first, well, the one I remember was at the edge of Flora.
Okay.
And I had a bicycle, because I think about this now, how different it was back then.
Mm-hmm.
And I could leave sometime in the morning, and we lived by the park in Flora. So the park was just a few, ways from the house. And anyway, I could be gone every day, all day. And my mom never worried about me.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, there was nothing to worry about. I never had anybody approach me that was, that you think of now.
Sure.
And they had the slides and all the things that I could play on over at the park. But, and I could ride my bike. If I wanted to ride to Flora, I could ride my bike to Flora. Never, ever was I ever approached by anybody, which I think, that's not the way it is anymore.
Right.
So I'm very thankful for that. And I started out, went to school in Flora, and then my parents moved.
And wait, so how old were you when you moved? How much time were you there? Till like 12 or
Let's see.
8 or...
No. Let's see. When we first moved from Flora, I think I left there when I was in the 4th grade.
Okay.
I think.
So you had a decent amount of time there.
Yes.
So you got some early, like Christmas memories there.
Yes.
What was kind of the tradition for the holidays? So how would your mom structure? We're doing presents on Christmas Eve. We do stuff in the morning. We're going to go to the church.
Well, Mom had a hard time of keeping a secret of what she's giving us.
Okay. Because you would go and hunt for it, or because she would tell you?
Oh, no. It's like just like she just wanted to tell us,
Okay.
even though we weren't bugging her to find out. And I had an older brother. He was 5 years older than me.
Okay.
He's passed away now. And I always have said about him, which he knows it, or he knew it then, that he didn't know I had a name. Because it was either dumb shit. I mean, that was my brother.
Right.
And I used to decorate sweatshirts. So I made him a sweatshirt. And he always went to Flora for coffee. And I said, I want you to wear this sweatshirt to Flora when you go and have coffee. Well, he wouldn't do it. Because it said everything, like I put on that sweatshirt, everything, that he never knew I had a name. And
was it fabric or color glue? What did you put on the sweatshirt?
Everything. I've got a picture of it at home someplace. I haven't looked at it forever. It was just things that I put on there that he used to say to me.
No, how did you use marker to draw it on, or like?
It was paint. I think I used paint.
Used paint, okay.
Because I used to decorate sweatshirts, see.
Okay.
So he had to have one. But he didn't have enough nerve to wear it down to where he went for coffee all the time.
Right.
He was ashamed of some of the things that but he was something else. But he was the only sibling I had. And I think of him often, even to this day.
Mm-hmm.
He was the tightest person that ever walked the earth. And he didn't really want to go on vacations. He'd just as leave. I've heard him say before, he would just as leave stay home and listen to the wind blow through the corn.
Do you remember any situations that happened when you guys were kids that either he got hurt or you guys were in a fight about something, or your parents had to, kind of handle both of you a little bit, or he got out of line, or was any of those specific situations? Or
he was pretty good as a brother.
Okay.
Now I had cousins that were. I was surrounded with boys. I only had one female, and she was at the time like 25 or 30 years old, older than me. So when we'd have the family get-togethers, it would be I'd be the only girl. So and I kind of always hated that, because the one cousin female that I had, she was so much older, that it wasn't any. I was too small to be of any for us to have anything in common.
Right. Do you remember some of the toys you used to play with when you were a kid?
Well,
some of the hobbies that you
what I played with, it was tractors.
Tractors?
That's what he
right.
had. So yes, I run those tractors on the floor and everything. Yeah, he was really into that kind of thing.
What about where would you hang out outside of the house? Would you go over to other people's farmhouses, or was there creeks to go to or ponds you go to?
I had this park.
Okay.
And I could go over there. Because, it wasn't dangerous like it is now.
Uh-huh.
You didn't have these crazy people. And that's what I did. I'd go over to the park. Maybe I'd play on the slides, because, they had the slides and swings and all this stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And because I remember that. And once in a while, there would be a friend that I had made there in Flora.
Right.
That would be there. But I think of what a good time that was.
Mm-hmm.
Because you just couldn't let it happen anymore.
And I'm assuming there's nobody you know from then still now. Any friends from that long ago you still kept in contact with?
Not that I would have played with, I guess. No.
And you moved from Florida when you were 12 to where?
Went out in the country, and then I went to Burlington to school. And I loved Burlington. But then we moved again, and then I went to Carrollton, and I loved Carrollton. I mean, I had a lot of friends when I was little. So
Yeah.
it must have been pretty easy for me to make friends. But anyway, when we moved, they did away with the Carrollton school. They closed it.
Okay.
So then we were going to go back to Burlington. Well, that was fine with me because I already had lots of friends at Burlington. So that didn't bother me in the least to go back to Burlington because, you know, I already knew them.
Do you remember any music performers, any books that were prevalent, any things that you remember kind of diving into that you really, like within the arts realm?
Oh, my word. Well, far as music, which is still true to this day, I can't carry a tune. I mean, I thought the good Lord left me out when it comes to music, that's for sure. And we were going to...
and famous musicians I want you to touch on too. Who were maybe some famous ones that remember listening
would
to?
That have been Elvis?
Could have been.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
And I was told, you know, Elvis had some kind of touchy moves.
Right.
You know, I can remember I had told somebody, well, I liked Elvis, and they commented about some of his moves that he had. But anyway, let's see what. I don't know, but I had a good childhood.
So in high school, did you end up getting involved with any groups or volunteering anywhere?
I was a cheerleader.
Okay.
Yeah, I loved that. I was a cheerleader at Carrollton, and then when we went back to Burlington, that was my senior year. So I didn't even go out for cheerleading then. I mean, I did think about it, but I couldn't. I mean, I could drive, but I didn't have a car. And, you know, like I had to go at different times if that was involved. So I missed out on the cheerleading my senior year.
Okay, so for big moments that happened in high school that a lot of people would have remembered, was there any big situations that happened at any ball games or maybe tragedy or triumph or anything, like some of the major moments you remember happening in high school?
In high school,
if anything.
I don't remember.
You guys went on a road trip, or you guys would go and hang out certain places?
Well, see, when they did away with Carrollton School, we had money in our treasure. So our sponsors, we went to Florida. We took that treasury money, but see, there wasn't that many kids involved. Okay. There was only, I think, 6 in my class from Carrollton. And then there were 2 that were seniors, because we went when we were juniors. And the one is still living. In fact, I've texted her on my phone or something like that. But, you know, it was just a different time, which I've been thankful for.
Yeah. So did you go to college?
No, I didn't.
So what happened after high school?
After high school, I got me a job at the National Bank in Logansport. And so I was a teller, and I enjoyed that. And I said this is bragging, but I had people wait in line for me to wait on them when there were other tellers available. But I'm proud of that. Are you saying
you were the hot teller?
Yeah, you might say that. Yes. So anyway, it was a good time.
What was the bank? Remember the name of the bank?
Sure, National Bank of Logansport.
National Bank of Logansport.
Yeah, and then I decided to have kids, I guess.
Well, you got to back it up to when you met
Don B.
Where were you when you first laid eyes on Don?
I think in the 6th grade, maybe.
Oh, so you got he got to track you the whole time.
We knew each other. That's right.
Did you ever date before you ended high school?
Well, yeah, we dated.
You did.
Whenever he had a which he's some of my relation really, which was Fred Blue, but he was older than we were, and he had his driver's license. So we went with, it's Fred and Janice now, which I'm still friends with. But we would go out on dates on Sunday night, go to the movie or whatever on Sunday nights. And but Don wasn't old enough for driver's license yet. So, but we'd spend a lot, and I'm still seeing Fred and Janice.
So when did you guys decide that you were an item, that you weren't just young when you became, was it in high school you became serious?
I don't think it ever entered either mind that we weren't. I don't know.
So basically,
I never dated anybody else.
That was kind of what I was getting at. When you guys started, you stuck with it. So high school sweethearts.
So we knew each other pretty darn well.
Do you remember where he proposed?
Oh my gosh, no. Oh yeah, Sandy Beach.
Where was Sandy Beach?
Well, over around Monticello.
Okay.
Yeah.
And was it just the two of you?
Yeah.
Was it a surprise?
Well, Janice and Fred might have been there somewhere. I'd have to. She's better at this. I should have her sitting here. So anyway,
Sandy Beach.
Yeah.
Was it at nighttime, daytime, or
in the afternoon?
In the afternoon, sunset, kind of little picnic, maybe, or.
Well, I don't know. I don't know if Janice and I took food or not. I don't know.
So it was a group.
Well, as a group, it would have been Janice and Fred.
So two couples.
Yeah.
Supporting couple witnesses.
Yes.
And then that. Yeah. And did he literally kneel down?
You'd think I'd remember that.
Well, I don't know.
I don't know that. I don't know that he did.
So this was after high school?
This was I graduated in 56.
Okay. So when did he propose? What year did he propose?
Well, that must have been pretty early on. We were married in 58.
Okay.
Yeah.
So 57, 58, somewhere in there.
Right.
And how did he get along with your dad and your mom?
Great.
How did you get along with them?
Great.
Obviously, it'd been a long time that they knew you.
Great. But, and his name was Donald Buford. Well, he was at school, he was known as Buford, but he didn't like that name, so he changed it to Don.
Okay.
But as far as my family, they always knew him as Buford. And that's what they called him. But, when he got old enough, he changed that, switched it. So he went from Buford to Donald. All
right. So obviously it was years that you guys were together before you got married. How many years do you think that was?
Well, we were married in 58. So we graduated high school.
From when you met. I mean, you guys,
you're talking about.
That he knew the family.
All of high school.
So basically probably 10 years maybe. 5 to 10 years, somewhere in there.
Yeah.
So what are some of the memories you have of him and your dad? Did they ever go out and do stuff? Did they ever go hunting or do anything?
Yeah.
What kind of stuff did they do together?
Let's see. What did they do together, Dad and Don? But they got along fine. I don't. Dad wasn't ever just. What was Don either? They both liked racing, I guess, to watch or whatever.
All right.
I don't know if they ever played golf.
Okay.
Yeah.
The golfers.
Golf was big.
So was there a competition between them? They'd come back and be like, "Hey, he beat me today, and he beat me today."
Well, it might have been like that, but it was no big deal.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then you and her mom, or you and his
mom and dad.
You and his mom and dad.
I loved them.
How do you describe them? How would you describe their personalities?
Well, his mom was the head one of the family. His dad was more quiet, and I'm sure Elsie and Wesley. But I always liked them, and I only got mad one time. And I'm going to tell you what that was
Let's
about.
Hear it.
Okay, my son Tony, her brother, had a girlfriend. And they went to Grandma and Grandpa Ticky's and stayed all night. And she let them sleep together. That didn't sit well with me.
Okay. I understand that.
Yeah. That did not sit well. That's the only time that I ever remember getting mad at Elsie. But I don't know that she even knew it. I mean, I don't think there was any words, but I did not like that.
Right. Because that wouldn't happen under your house, under your roof.
You better believe it. They might go down the road a mile or two, but by God, it's not going to happen there. And that's the kind of things I would say.
Okay. All right. So how many kids did you have?
2. This one here. And
this one here, Pam, Pamela. And what was your brother's? What's your son's name?
Tony.
Tony. So Tony. So who was first?
Tony.
Tony was first, and
believe me, he looked after her.
Okay. Was it how many years difference were there?
What, just 2 years, isn't it?
3.
3.
3 years. So did you? When you found out you were pregnant, was it a surprise, or were you guys trying?
No, we were trying.
You were trying.
Yeah.
And when did you find out it was a boy?
Not until he was born.
Okay. All right.
Yeah.
So when that happened and you guys got a boy, was there any complications or anything that happened from when he was born and, like young baby, anything? Sometimes.
No, it was very fortunate. No.
Okay.
He was fine.
So why'd you pick Tony?
Well, my brother had a lot to do with that. He knew somebody it was a friend of his, which I never ever knew him. But he kind of helped pick Tony. Yeah. And I thought, well, that's fine. And I remember saying to my husband, well, we could name him Anthony. And he said, I don't think I could spell that. Oh, Lord.
So what hospital? Where was you born?
Memorial at Logan.
Memorial at Logansport. So 2 years.
They both were.
2 years later, you find out you're pregnant again with Pam. And did you not know what the sex was until she was born? Did you wait till she was born? Did you know it was a girl before she was born?
Oh, no. They didn't do that then.
Right. So
if they did, I didn't know it.
When you sometimes parents are like, oh, we got 2 boys and born a girl. But when you found out it was a girl, were you overly excited because your husband had his boy and now you got your girl?
Yeah. And that's what, that was fine. I really didn't want any more.
Right.
Until the last few years. I wish we'd had some more.
So how'd you pick Pamela?
I don't know. I just like that.
There wasn't a famous actress or somebody from a book or something?
No.
No?
No.
So where were you guys living when you were raising them from
Galveston.
In Galveston? Is that in Texas? Galveston?
No, Indiana.
Oh, okay. So it's still up in the region? Gotcha.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So, I mean, before we were married, we bought our house. Now, mind you, we never ever stayed there till after we were married. But I think we bought the house maybe in August and we were married in February.
Okay.
But we never stayed there until February when we were married. But anyway, it's still standing. I have to drive by it once in a while, to see it.
How would you describe Tony and Pam's dynamic as far as the relationship and maybe memories of what they would get into?
He was very protective of her.
Okay.
Because, he was like, 2.5 years older than she was. But if she'd come home and if she liked a boy, by God, he's not coming on the house if he didn't like him.
Right.
So he did have an opinion, at least when she was in school, of who she should be, or who wasn't going to come around.
Right.
Yeah.
So when he was, excuse me, excuse me, when he was growing up, what are some of the things that he would get into as far as toys or activities when he was like in grade school?
He liked playing football. He liked any sport he liked.
So what's some of the things that he would do to bond with you?
Oh, to bond with me?
Yeah, hanging out with Mom. What's some of the stuff he used to do when he was in grade school, hanging out with Mom?
Well, shoot. I'd have to think about that a while. What did Tony and I do?
Shoot around
Too bad he's not here.
Go around town and take him on errands, or did he ever take out in the woods or anything? And or Or is it in the kitchen doing things? Or what's just some...
No, he didn't. I don't remember him being in the kitchen too much.
Okay.
Do you remember anything with Tony?